Quite often, when articles have been sent out for review, you're going to get asked to make revisions. So we thought we'd talk to you a little bit about what you might need to do in that situation. The first thing that we know happens to a lot of authors is they get very upset.
Yeah, really, really upset. I've been very upset and getting very angry. But you've got to, I always say, sit on it. Put the comments away for a while and try not to get upset. We ask experts to review papers.
Once you've sat on it, once you've got over the pain of reviewer two, as I would like to call it, reviewer two always seems to be the nastiest one, hidden in among in those 3 reviews. Sit down, make a plan, think about what you want to respond to and how you're going to respond to it, and identify where in the paper you might be able to do that.
Don't be overwhelmed.
Absolutely. I mean, there will be cases where reviewers have gone through and maybe their comments aren't appropriate for this paper, but you have to work with that very carefully.
And you have to think, why did they say that? So if people have pointed things out, you've got to think, well, even if it seems inappropriate, why did they say that? There's obviously a reason. So I think one thing that's really good to do is actually make a list of the points. You'll see some of them agree with each other, and they're the very important ones. If 3 reviewers have pointed out there's a problem, you know there's a problem. And then work out what you think are the most important ones to address. You don't have to address everything, but you have to tell us if you haven't addressed things and why you haven't addressed things.
So when you receive your comments back from a reviewer, I think it's really important that you take them seriously, but not personally. As editors, we are likely to give some direction to the authors as well. So when we get those comments in, we're likely to go through and go, okay, we'd particularly like you to work on X.
But we might think of things that we think are more important than the author does. And it's up to the author to tell us, actually, these are the important things that I'm going to address.
So alongside this kind of careful planning and deciding what changes you are actually going to make to your article, there's also the work of documenting the changes that you've made. We don't want to see documents with track changes. What we want is a report explaining to us what you've actually done and why you've done it and what you think that brings to your article.
So we want a conversation that works through the paper, the referees and us. We do not want, can we stress that? We do not want track changes.
Absolutely.
Because that actually suggests that you're not really intellectually engaging, you're just doing a kind of bit of editing.
Well, it ends up looking quite additive, I think, whereas actually we're looking for a recrafting at that stage quite often.
Yeah.